YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. What do we have here? We have an F-15 from FMS. This is a 64 millimeter EDF jet powered by 4S 2200 in our case. I am running 100C, but only because it's a Gen 1 and I have a voltage alarm installed, and that way we can find out when this thing actually needs to be shut off. And you're probably thinking, what type of flaps did you set up since this only has ailerons? None. That's because I preserved a channel for inboard flaps should the plane pass my vigorous desire for goodness. And right now you can see there's no flaps. And I will add one later, a servo on each wing if I want to do inboard flaps rather than flaperons, because I'm not crazy about the way flaperons work on F-15s, okay? That being said, it can be added, but the Y cable splits only at this point, and then there's an extension, which makes it difficult. There's not much room to work with on the Y cable. Okay, so that all being understood, throttle cut is off. Watch this. One other feature that we just didn't want to do without, and we said might help with the flap issue. Oh yeah, we even have pilot fatigue. Check this out. Getting into position, and you may notice that it is freaking out with the low voltage alarm being set to 3.3 volts. When you put full thrust reverse in pilot fatigue, you may find that you'll kick that on. Okay, without further ado, here goes nothing forward thrust. And we have a 5-minute timer set, full throttle. Holy cow, that thing takes forever to get off the ground. But it's good up in the air. A little bit of a slow recovery, about 50% throttle. Looks so sweet over by the bull camera crew. And as you can see, it's got good ups, good roll rate. And coming around, let's take a couple steps this way. Right there, perfect. Now I did set this up with safe, so I'll show you what that looks like. Whoa, yeah! Boy, that looks good against the blue sky. And I'm just gonna tell you this right now, even on 4S, this thing, I don't wanna say it feels doggy because it's not doggy, it's just more along the lines of, you gotta be on it, guys. And I feel like that CG needs to be back further. That battery needs to go back further because my elevator feels like it's not getting the job done. In fact, I'm gonna trim a bunch and see if I can get it to just flatten out. I feel like I'm riding the stick. That's a lot of trim, holy cow. But there we are at 40% throttle, just cruising along. That feels pretty good. I'm off the sticks, just riding the sticks where I want it to turn. Turning toward us. You can see I'm slowed way down and it's doing well. Looks so good against those trees, by the way. Mm-hmm. Now, there is no rudder on this plane, so presentation passes are a little bit of a scary thing. But you'll notice the nose gear, since it's fixed, does have a spring halfway down the shaft on the bogie, and you can insert some clear plastic and make a simulated rudder. We've done that before, and look at that, guys, with the trim. Really good settling. I feel like it's way better now, and love the way that the lines look on this plane. But just keep in mind, it's a 64. It's not gonna be a powerhouse. It never will be, even if you were to go a little bit higher on power. I'm not sure how you would do that unless you went a high voltage pack, but it sure looks good. Notice a little bit of a pitch down moment under high throttle. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you guys safe here real quick. Okay, so here's safe. Whoa! She snapped really quick to level, and then full up. Geez, there's barely any up. There's our full right. Looks pretty good. A little bit of rudder. I keep using the rudder and there's not a rudder. And pitch down moment under throttle in safe. Don't like that. Out of safe now. But at the same time, you can still use it as a panic recovery. Kind of a hot afternoon here in central Iowa in mid to late June. As you can see, we've got a beautiful F-15 here. Very good roll rate. It could use even less roll rate, to be honest. I don't feel like I missed the rudder, but because there's a steerable nose gear, you already get a little bit of a rudder impact from that wheel. And so if you jank it, then you can actually get that thing to help you coordinate your turns. You can see some barn swallows want to play with us. And also I just want to talk about the elephant in the room, and that would be, you guys have recently seen the Eagle killing zone tempting your very favorite RC pilot here, Brian Phillips, and just recently consumed a fox. So I was just gonna taunt it by going around. And then as you can see, we're getting around just fine. There is a low voltage alarm. Okay, we're just gonna get into position and see if we can practice a couple landings. Camera crew, you need to go to your left a little bit. Thank you. I'm gonna go out over the trees and just try for a nice gentle approach. It's very calm right now. Okay, she's counting it out for me. Keeping a little bit of power back. Okay, just gonna let it sink. Oh, I gotta go way out there. The sink rate on this plane is like nothing. It just glides forever. So as you can see, it sinks, sink, 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 sink. Oh, come on, get it here, Brian. Get it here. There we go. Oh, beautiful. Oh, yeah! So the thrust reverse does work. Throttle cuts on. And as you can see, the thing just glides and glides and glides and glides. Now, that was our first hint of alarm. But I always find it to be weird when you have a smart battery that goes into an alarm at a high voltage right at the beginning of a flight sequence. And then you fly and fly and fly and fly and fly, and then you don't even get an alarm when you come in. It's very strange. And I don't understand why that happens, but I have noticed that sometimes if you get a sag on a pack that you don't use all the time, and make no mistake, I hardly ever use the 100C packs, I do notice that they sometimes have a strange behavior at the beginning of a sequence. The Smart Gen 2 chip will keep balance a little bit quicker than a Gen 1 pack. That's one of the added values for a Gen 2 over a Gen 1. But just keeping track of our time here now that I've talked for almost a minute, I think our 5-minute timer is something that we can respect with a 30C pack. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do that right now. I'm gonna go ahead and just grab from the camera crew. She has one of the other packs. We're gonna go ahead and put this one in, which is a relatively new 30C pack. Let's check for damage first of all. Also, we do have the ordnance on here. It's removable. Actually, hold that for just a moment. This does come off. Okay, it's gonna produce a lot of extra drag, but as you can see, it didn't break, surprising. And I don't know if you guys caught that when I came in and gave it full thrust reverse in air and it kind of gained altitude. That was weird, probably because I was carrying too much speed. I'm gonna go ahead and lay this here. You can see where my battery is. I just have a chunk of foam that helps me to keep engagement with my shelf liner. So we're at 3.71, 14.8, 3.7 something, 3.72, 3.7 something. I can't read the last digit, so just take my word for it. That's actually a lot of voltage to be ending a flight on, so I think we're totally safe to do a 5-minute flight time. But let's see if we have any puffage. In the past, we've had some F-15s that are battery chewers, but that's because they were twins. This is a single EDF, which basically means what's gonna happen is you will hopefully not puff your packs, although I gotta say, that's a 100C pack, and it looks pretty pissed off. It is hot, feel that. Ooh, yeah, that thing is hot. Let's put it in my pocket so that if it catches on fire, I'll burn. Super safe. That'll make a great video. That thing is really hot, in fact. I'm not gonna put it in my pocket. Goodness gracious. Normally that'd be great on like one of those days where we film at minus 14 degrees. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna take and stuff this in here, and I need a bit further back CG this time. I did just go to this mark.
It is hot though.
No, it's real hot.
Outside.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, so I'm gonna push that back another 1/2 inch, okay? So you can see I've got it almost, you know what, let's just for good reference, we'll just go until it lines up with that bulkhead, okay? Now, let's lay this on the ground. I wanna talk about one thing. I'm actually gonna put my transmitter right on the plane, and you see this is just my wedge of garbage foam. Had nothing to do with the plane, but that's just something I use to wedge in there. And as you know, this is a Gen 2 pack, so guess what I don't get to take advantage of? The voltage alarm, which is a bummer because I would really like to have that voltage alarm. Okay, so everything feels good there. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna let things initiate. And also remember, pilot fatigue is only, in my opinion, really safe on a plane with an EDF. And we did install the pilot fatigue setting, and that is where it gives full thrust reverse when you flip switch G all the way back. Now, throttle cut is gonna stop that from happening. And so if you have throttle cut and you forget you're in thrust reverse, pilot fatigue, and then you shut it off, there's a good chance you're gonna have to change your drawers. So be careful about that. Now we're gonna hit reset and we'll come right back. Okay, so our throttle cut's off, timer's at 5 minutes, and we're gonna try taking off this way. Here we go. Full throttle. Ooh, good takeoff. Feels a little bit better on the touchiness of the elevator now that we pushed that battery back. I'm out of the throttle. About 50% throttle now, feels a lot nicer, I gotta say. Just trying to slow it down and tame this plane because without rudders, I feel pretty vulnerable and naked. But it looks dang good doing it. Eagle killing zone, stay away from that, Eagle. Beautiful plane though, absolutely gorgeous. Gonna give it some trim to try to bring it back to planet Earth. Whoa. So I must say, for being a 64 millimeter EDF, this thing has plenty of power to get around, but on 4S, I would like to see it be a little bit more juicy. Oh yeah, there we go. Full throttle, just barely gets it off the ground for another little touch and went. Looked really good doing it, but that was by pure luck and happenstance. I did not mean for it to take off at the last second. That's because that's all I had. Okay, here we go. Whoa! I don't know if you guys could see that, but that thing dipped the tip and tried to nosedive. Thankfully, I stopped it in time by pure luck again. Watch this, bringing it down. Look at that thing settle into a perfect landing approach, nose up attitude with that CG where it is. Oh, yes! Feel like I gotta get the trim back just 3 or 4 more clicks. Now that we have the CG back, you see how it pulls the nose up as I slow? If I get off the sticks, that's what happens to it. Look at that. Beautiful. Oh, but then when it stalls into it, you better be careful. Oh, look at that. It's even tipping over in that configuration. Very weird. So I gotta say, this plane is just one of those planes where you're gonna have a blast flying it, but don't think it's gonna be your everyday replacement for the J11 or your SU-27. Obviously, with limited flight controls, you're gonna have a little bit less flying authority. And that's something that I really miss in a plane like this, is it looks fun and it looks cool. But at the end of the day, it is definitely not going to give you the full flight experience of a more robust, flap-equipped, LED-equipped, twin-engine EDF that's in 6S. But I gotta say, on a budget, this is a pretty stinking cool looking jet. Also, in terms of F-15s, how they rank in my world of RC, do I love F-16s? Yes. Do I love F-18s? Yes. Do I love F-15s? Absolutely I do. That's an inside-out loop. A little bit hard to tell. But does this one fly a little bit wonkier than some of the other choices? Yes. Is it a bad flying plane? No. It's just a little bit different, a little bit less predictable compared to some of the other aircraft we've flown in the past. And I gotta say, I enjoy a challenge. But there's something nice about having this plane in a bind and fly, even though I like this livery better. I do like the ease of a binded fly in this configuration. So what I'm getting at is, even though this is a great plane and I like the looks better than the competitive offering, I kind of like the competitive offering for a beginner a little bit better, because even though it's in that weird camo, it's the exact same plane. I think this one actually has a little bit more power to it. And I gotta say, I'm not disappointed by power. It's just a different flying plane because you don't have full flight control surfaces. And that's a rudder and flaps, folks. Now, the cool thing is, because you have thrust reverse, you can get the thing stopped in a hurry. Let's try a couple landings here, see if I can get away with it. Gonna go way out there. You see how far out there I am? I'm just gonna let it settle into a beautiful, gorgeous final and see how long it will glide. And I'm just gonna touch the nose I'm just gonna push the nose down. Look at this, guys. Who needs thrust reverse when you got that? Pilot fatigue, baby. Oh, that is so gorgeous. And then out of pilot fatigue, and we're just gonna come to a nice slow stop. Woohoo! Okay, throttle cuts on. All right, so I have to say something, and this is true. That was my timer, by the way, for 5 minutes. I'm sure we could fly longer, and we might. In fact, we might just switch batteries after we show you what the voltage was. That being said, okay, I said a lot of things in that video, and I want to clarify a few things. First, do I love the looks of it? Yes, but it still has fixed gear. Ugh. So, that being said, you can take them off and you can get that beautiful flight performance with less drag. But get this, guys, I want the nose gear because that gives me a rudder. And yes, believe it or not, I fly with the rudder, even though there isn't a rudder, because that steerable nose gear still deflects the air and still acts as a rudder. So if you're wanting to fly this as a belly lander and you're really into that sort of thing, which I gotta say, you know, like Habu 50, I really liked it as a belly lander compared to a wheels up, wheels down. You can do wheels up and wheels down and you don't lose that performance because you have a rudder, okay? So, big disadvantage, a lack of rudder. Big pro, power. Big pro, better looks. Big pro, even though they're fixed gear, they look good, okay? So I gotta say, they aren't standing out like a sore thumb as you fly around. Big pro, if you get the CG right, the thing pretty much brings itself into a perfect high alpha, and all you have to do is just ride the nose down to bring it where you want it to go. And that's with safe off. Big con, and it's just to do with our setup, okay? I need to open up the envelope for my pitch control on safe so that we don't have a crash because of it. In fact, we'll do that real quick before we jump in. Can you see this? Make sure it's not glared, okay? We're gonna click, see if it'll even let us into forward programming now. It might. We might not have enough range from where we're standing. Oh, there it is. Gyro settings, safe settings, safe gains, angle limits. In safe, pitch down, we're gonna give 60, and pitch up, we're gonna give 75, okay? So now, what that does is it's gonna allow me to go more up and more down. Why do you wanna go more down? It's safe, Brian. You're supposed to be saving people from crashing. When you let go of the sticks, the plane's still gonna auto level. Ooh, another thing. Gyro settings, safe settings. Can you see that okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Angle limits, fixed, gyro gains, safe gains. Oh, where is that? Angle limits? Flight mode.
AS3X mode. Safe mode.
Trying to remember where that's set. You remember, you know
What
what
are you looking for?
I'm trying to set the correction for level, and I forget where it is. Heading, is it heading?
Can you do it without doing the safe setup?
Here it is.
AS3X mode.
Yeah, that's not what I want. I don't know where it is because that's the correction I want to set right now. So system settings, safe gains, angle limits. Angle limits must be where it is.
It's when you capture your gains.
Oh, really? We might pause and look for it real quick. All right, guys, we're gonna try to keep this in focus. So within main menu of the Ford programming, it's under gyro settings, system setup. They bury it in a weird spot. Gain channel, relearn orientation. Oh crap, that's not where it is. I just had it, guys. Gain channel select, utilities. Nope. Guys, I'm sorry. I thought I had it. We'll come right back. Okay, so from gyro settings, I'm gonna go right from the main screen, gyro settings, then into safe settings. Angle limits. That's what we needed to change so we could get our pitch. You have to be in the safe switch setting, okay, that you've assigned previously, okay? So get that changed. Then you walk back out. And then you go to, was it under system setup or safe settings? Safe panic mode setup. Attitude trim. There it is, guys. Level model. Okay, so this is where we were doing our radio setup. You see this pitch? If it's negative, positive. Okay, so nose up or nose down, what I'm concerned with. That'd be nose up is positive. So we actually want to go a little bit more. We're probably going to go to like 4. You know what? It captured it at 5. Let's see what it says. You remember that when we did this in the radio setup and we both thought like, whatever. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and set this to 4 and see what happens. Okay, so 4 and 2. I'm not really worried about perfection here. But what I want to do is then once you back out, it's going to reboot everything and you'll be ready to rock and roll. Now, the other thing you can do is if you're ever in any doubt, you can take your plane. Okay, now I'm not going to take back off. I'm just going to show you this with it off. Same battery from before. Camera crew grabbed it while I was doing this. Safe is on. Excuse me. Safe is on now. So you can see where the elevator is. That's going to pull the nose up. That's going to push the nose down. So it's going to be something like this, okay? I like that for safe because that holds orientation level. So it's not going to get a lot of penetration up, but it is going to fly. Okay, so we're going to take the XBC battery checker and check our voltage. We did land right at 5, kind of by accident. But what we want to do is we want to do one more flight with another 30C pack. We want to show you how this thing chewed into the 30C pack also. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pull this out. By the way, since the battery is buried, you need to be kind of careful. Oh, that did great. That did great. How did the 100C pack do so bad? Probably because we discharged it more.
Yeah.
Okay, so plugged in. So we're 15.16. So we have 28% left. Okay, so that's fair. Now remember, guys, with a smart battery in an EDF, you want to keep a little bit of juice in the tank. Otherwise, you won't have your thrust reverse for pilot fatigue setting for 1. And by the way, I gotta say, way better all the way back than our initial. And I'm going straight off of the CG markings from the manual here. And as you can see, I'm going just past, and I'm even with this bulkhead as far back as I can get. To be honest, we probably don't need to plug it because it just doesn't need that extra friction anymore. But I'm gonna go ahead and do it just to be on the safer side. And that's just gonna give us a little bit of bite. It is toasty inside of there. Again, with EDFs, they tend to get a little bit hotter because they're driving a little bit harder. Okay, camera crew. Okay, so everything is booted. I wanted to mention one other thing on that last landing. The thrust reverse takes a second to engage, okay? So if you intend to use thrust reverse, just keep in mind, it takes time for that to happen. So if your throttle is up and you try to switch halfway, it may not work. So don't plan on it, okay? All right, so without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and thrust reverse out in controllable mode. That is a lot of wasted battery, just so you guys know. So if you're flying with a lot of reverse thrust before, just keep in mind you are wasting flight time. Here we go. Jank that thing up, oh yeah. Oh crap, I'm in safe. Okay, out of safe. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to take off and safe, although it looked pretty dang good. Inside pass, good. So now one trick, I'm just gonna tell you the trick of the day, folks. If you find yourself trapped with this plane because there's no rudders, and if you're like me, you fly with all the flight control surfaces, what you can do is you can always roll this thing over. You have tons of elevator authority, and that's a good thing. If you didn't have that, I would feel very nervous in this plane because I wanna have control authority when I'm flying these models. I don't like feeling out of control. And that's part of the reason why I love having a rudder. Camera crew, I'm gonna go under you and then we're gonna go to the bull.
Okay.
Okay, so what I wanna try is I wanna try getting a nice loop here into the bull so I can try for a different landing approach, watching out for the trees. And speaking of trees, guys, we got some new trees in honor of the fox being killed by a tree. I am, yes, using the rudder to point the nose. That's right, there is no rudder, it's just a steerable nose gear, but look at that yaw. You can really yaw this plane. Oh, that is so gorgeous. Oh man, I so badly could have janked that thing in, but I wanted it to be gorgeous and greasy. So I'm gonna go under the sun here. Actually, I'm gonna go around me if you're good.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? On second thought, I'm gonna save the plane and swallow my pride. See, this is just one of those things you learn. You learn your limits over time and you learn your plane's limits over time. And the hard part is when you realize you are about to exceed the limits, you have to have the presence of mind to give up the battle and let gravity win. Because gravity's gonna win even if you lose your plane, okay? Just riding the line here, gonna get it slowed down, getting into high alpha here. Really just relaxing and letting it get there. And then kisses. Okay, I wanna talk about what just happened. You heard the beep, beep. I went full throttle and guess what happened? I tried to flip to thrust reverse and it didn't happen quick enough. So then, after it did finally connect, guess what happened? It started down the runway like I was gonna get into a takeoff sequence. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're gonna send her. And look what happened. So thrust reverse is a killer. The good news is I think the plane is fine. I think the canopy popped off and the nose cone popped off. And we're not done flying. We got a little bit more time left. So that was the warning executed, okay? So when you have thrust reverse on an FMS Predator ESC, it takes a second for things to happen. It is not gonna be fast like an Avian ESC, where you're just Johnny on the spot and it is thrust reverse. By the way, let's show the people at home. Oh man, I hit the nose hard. This one was a self-inflicted wound, but honestly, that was a combination of both self-inflicted wound and having the Avian ESC would have solved that problem. Okay, let's talk about damage. Man, that sucks. Okay, let's fly. Ooh, landing gear. Landing gear bent, okay? I'm gonna bend it back by supporting down here and just bending. Okay, very good, very good. I think we're flyable right now.
Okay.
So we're just gonna take off from this angle. Now, do you guys understand what I just explained? Oh, you're on the camera. Okay, so you can't answer. My question is, do you understand what just happened? And the answer to that question is, I hope yes. I came in, perfectly executed switch positions, and unfortunately did not allow enough time, so my perfect solution was imperfect. I didn't allow enough time for that ESC to switch directions. And so what did it do? Instead of switching directions, it just kept going full speed. That's bad, because you think you're braking. Okay, I'm in full normal thrust. That's reverse thrust. Okay, throttle cuts on, listen. You hear no beep? There's no beep there. I don't know why. Because look, my throttle cuts on. I don't hear a beep. Okay, so watch this. Controllable. There's thrust reverse.
Okay.
Pilot fatigue might be my killer on this plane.
But Why didn't it beep still?
It did do reverse thrust the right direction. That's forward thrust. So my pilot fatigue setting is forward thrust. Okay, we need to get to the bottom of why that's happening. Okay, because my controllable reverse thrust is working. Okay. Okay, watch this. Now we're gonna go in here to digital switch setup. We're gonna select switch G. These are correct. Okay, whoops, switch G. That is correct. So in this condition or this condition, whoa. See, now it worked. What the heck?
That was weird.
Okay. So I'm not sure what to make of that, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna eliminate my pilot fatigue setting right now.
Okay.
Because throttle cuts on. Whoops. Mixing, gear to throttle. It's only on when the G switch is in this spot. Okay. And really, it only needs to be on also while this is off. No, we can't do that. See the throttle? The throttle cut prevents us from testing it. Guys, I'm just gonna go with leave it on and we'll see if we can figure out the condition that causes that. What we do here on Brian Phillips RC is we find problems, self-inflicted ones most of the time, and then we solve them, maybe. Okay, here we go. I gotta fly this thing because I wanna fly it bad.
Okay.
Full throttle. Oh yeah. That is so gorgeous. You guys see what I'm talking about? If you run out of elevator, just flip it over. Okay, let's stand here. Oh man, that thing looks so dang gorgeous. We're just gonna take a different angle in. Oh, by the way, I wanna show you guys safe here. I'll get into safe. There's safe, guys. Look at that attitude, it's perfect.
That's great.
Okay, so the 5 is actually, did we do 5?
We
okay,
did
out of
4.
safe. Here we go, guys. Watch this, safe is on. Look at that attitude. Perfect, but it did take a second to get there. Let's jank it. Man, that thing just rolls like crazy.
It does.
Okay, getting it going downhill, get it flying again. Guys, I gotta say, I'm kind of intrigued by this plane. It's so weird because even though it's a little bit wonk, I like flying it a lot, it's fun. And I like a challenge. I would like a challenge with inboard flaps and LEDs better. Yes, I am flying around those trees. Yes, they are as close as they look. Yes, I could stall here. Oh man, that was gorgeous, but I couldn't quite get the angle, so we're gonna go back 7 steps. We're gonna try this again. And yes, I am using the rudder a lot for having not a rudder. That is hilarious. Oh, I love the way that thing looks in the sun. Oh, it's so gorgeous. Okay, using the rudder, going around the cherry tree. Okay, trying to get it into high alpha, forcing the nose down. Oh, yes! You guys see that? That was pilot fatigue. So did you guys see my whole pilot fatigue touch and go?
Interesting.
Yeah, so obviously the pilot fatigue did not work as it has in the past. Going around the cherry, trying to, it is, oh yeah! I needed a rudder so badly there. Did you see what happened? Lost my airspeed and then the nose wheel was not enough to command and control that maneuver. 1 minute left, going up, bleeding off inertia, getting leveled out, getting into an alpha whilst turning the wheel. Whoa! Whoa! Oh man, that was so fun and yet ineffective. Look at that, guys. Look at that thing flip over. That's how you can tell you're tail heavy.
You're gonna need to link to some new speakers for the people.
Oh, new speakers?
Yes.
Okay, good idea. So we're gonna go way out here. We're gonna do a different approach this time. Okay, here we go. The ego killing zone is calling.
You're making me nervous.
Caw-caw! Caw-caw! Oh, yes. Thrust reverse, baby. Oh, yeah.
That
Okay,
was
throttle cuts on.
controllable.
That was controllable.
Okay.
Only in the middle switch. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do, guys. Every once in a while, you run into a situation where you just make a feature that just doesn't work the way it's supposed to work. And what you do is you quickly inhibit that piece of crap. You reset it. Boom, done. Okay?
Okay.
So, pilot fatigue is no longer a thing. Now, controllable reverse thrust is all the way back. Throttle cuts off. So we're going reverse. I can live with that though. I can totally live with that. All right, now you guys want to see a dead stick landing, I'm sure, so I'm going to go ahead and keep flying for a little bit. Admittedly, we're going to be a little bit off on our times, so I apologize. If you want to help support Brian Phillips RC and all of our ridiculous RC antics, check out the links in the video description below. We're going to get up to speed here really quick. You good?
Yep.
Oh yeah, that was basically full speed, and we barely made it. These landing gear, if you want, oh gosh, I flew right through the sun.
Yes.
Sorry guys, I was blind for a minute there. If you want, we should take off the ordnance too. Oh yeah! That was so
Can't
cool.
film that close to myself.
It's okay. You'll figure it out. Guys, I gotta say, I actually really like flying this plane, and it's gonna sound like a really shady answer, but the reason I like flying it is because it kind of doesn't fly that good. It flies weird. But I like flying it because, oh yeah, single killing zone almost took another victim. Oh man, that would have been so terrible and yet embarrassing and funny all at the same time. So guys, what I'm trying to say is, like, it flies weird. Does that mean it's bad? I shouldn't say bad. Bad was a bad descriptor, okay? Bad was a bad descriptor. Ooh. That sounds not very juicy.
That sounds, yeah.
That sounds like I'm gonna be like losing it on this pass. Okay. Okay. Okay, here we go. So we're getting close enough to dead stick for my taste. Woo-wee! Okay, so that's full thrust reverse. So as you can see, it barely slowed it down. i.e. the battery's dead, okay? All right, so what I mean by it doesn't fly that good, it's kind of like, it's not flyby suggestion like the toy grade planes. It's more like, it's just such a different feel that I want it to do things that it can't quite accomplish, but then it does other things really good, which is so weird. It kind of reminds me of the way you could settle in to a perfectly flared landing with either of the Rafales, and you can suck as a pilot, like me. So if you come in and you do nothing, this plane automatically walks into a flare if you get the CG where I've got it. Now, that being said, when you roll it on its back and it goes nose down, that's usually an indication that your center of gravity is screwed up, okay? I don't have a problem with that. Here's why. Because it flies a lot better with the elevator awake like it is now. Alternatively, you could try to get the CG where it belongs, and then you could actually go to an inside hole or go to the outside hole, because they have us riding the middle hole on the servo itself, okay? Because we have AS3X and safe and we're not dealing with a reflex, we can quickly and easily adjust our gains down a little bit, okay? That would give you more elevator authority, so you'd be able to do some of the things we're seeing. You'd be able to jank it into a higher alpha configuration easier. But remember, getting into high alpha has more to do with your CG than it does to do with your elevator authority. Pushing the nose up can be done in high alpha, can be done in perfectly CG'd plane, nose heavy or tail heavy. If it's significantly tail heavy, you can put the nose wherever you want, and it's gonna kind of do what it wants. Right now, I'm just slightly tail heavy, okay? And you could see that mark was about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch off of where I was initially flying at, okay? That being said, if you have a nose heavy plane and you have more elevator output, you can fly it okay. It'll fly super stable, but then when you go to settle in for a landing, it's just going to want to carry and carry and carry and carry forever, like we experienced on our first takeoff. I kind of want to fly again. Let's do one more flight. I know the camera.
Have any more batteries?
Well, we'll go in and get one. So we'll pause it and we'll be right back. Wait, let's show them the new crash zones. Okay, guys, we have new crash zones.
Yep.
There's 4 new crash zones.
They're very pretty.
And so we just added those.
I picked them.
The camera crew has been wanting some pretty trees, and So we got some pretty trees to crash into for you. Don't you worry, we'll give you an opportunity to see that soon, but not with the F-15. I just bounced it in. And by the way, I apologize. This is the first time we've had a thrust reverse with pilot fatigue issue that I can say we've had yet.
Yeah, I mean, there's been times where you haven't initiated it quick enough or whatever.
Yeah, like I
like,
physically,
it didn't do
no,
it
like it just didn't do it. That's why I'm like, touch and go, I guess. And the problem is, okay, do you want to know why I bounced down here? It's because I was like, oh, touch and go, great. And of course, I couldn't explain it quick enough.
Right.
In that moment, I had to wait till it was over. So once I did, you could hear the beep. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, crap. Now you're going to do it right at the moment of victory when I'm rolling.
Right.
At
when you
VR.
were back, yeah, to what you should have been.
So it's like, I'm sitting here trying to roll. I'm at terminal velocity. I have to make the decision to either roll out and crash into the bushes in the ditch or do some crazy maneuver. And I'm like, well, I'll just keep flying. Well, I can't in good conscience leave it in thrust reverse pilot fatigue setting because then that means it's gonna, at some point, it's just gonna be like, oh, full reverse thrust. So I had to make a decision, and that decision was the best one I could make given the circumstances. I want to prevent you from having those bad circumstances, but I don't want you guys to see this plane in a negative light. So what we're going to do is, I think I'm going to do the last flight somewhere in the middle of those two center of gravity positions. And we're going to see how that works. Yeah, I got another Gen 2 pack, and we'll grab that right now because the sun is starting to cooperate a little bit better. We're going to get golden hour here for a little bit, which is nice. We have this period of time where the sun's here, and you may have noticed it in our videos, and it's very hard for us to see. And then it backlights everything. But as the sun gets through the atmosphere, the thick, beautiful atmosphere, it's very muggy out here, we're gonna get some gorgeous lighting. So we're gonna go switch out batteries and come right back. So stay tuned, one more flight coming. All right, guys. So we pulled the landing gear off and gravity helped us. We were going to take off, and then this thing got pushed up in my little crashy crash, and I didn't realize it. So the nose gear popped off, and we got another scuff mark. Really annoying, but anyway, we're gonna try to fly this right now without the landing gear. And if we get lucky, we can take a sorties without the missiles and drop tanks here, but I'm not sure. There are some holes here to hang on to, but I'm not sure that's even the way I wanna try this because it has such a wide fuse, you kinda need a little help. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and throttle cuts off. Safe is on. Okay, full throttle. I'm gonna launch it that way.
Okay.
Oh man, that tries to pull right out of your hand. Okay, so with safe, pretty easy. Without safe, I'm sure it would have been fine. Okay, 20% throttle now. Look at that beauty. Oh, that looks so dang good. That, my friends, is what you want it to be like. Oh, so gorgeous. Out of the throttle. Okay, into the throttle. Inside pass, you good? Mm-hmm. Really fast roll rate. Okay, coming down the pike. No rudder to speak of now. I cannot cheat. There's no nose wheel. There's no shaft coming down, but you could still do that. Oh, good Lord, that looks so dang good. Going up. Janking it around. Okay, and then down. You good? Mm-hmm. Okay, coming out of it. So sweet. Okay, guys, if you get this thing, it's one of those planes where you're gonna fly it and you're like, how hard can it be? And then you're gonna like have some mistake and you're gonna be like, screw you, plane, I will master you. Because as much as there are like annoying idiosyncrasies about the way this plane flies, it makes me wanna fly it more. It's so annoyingly weird. There's a beep. Okay, so we'll go ahead and pull the ordnance. Now that's not a dead battery. That's just my first alarm chirp. And my alarm's set to 3.3 volts. So that just means one of the packs sagged down a little bit. Also, we scraped the nose, so there was a little bit of downtime there. All right, so real quick, we'll pick this up, pop the ordnance off, just show you how easy that is. If you guys are new pilots and you want to fly this thing, don't get this for your first plane. It flies kind of weird. If you want an easier EDF, we can talk to you about that. But all I'm going to say is, even though this is in the arena of easier to fly EDFs, it's definitely got some idiosyncrasies about it that I'm not a big fan of in terms of flight performance. That doesn't mean it's a bad flyer. It just means that you have to kind of be on your game at weird times when you wouldn't expect it. However, it lands easy and it takes off easy, okay? So if you're gonna fly around and safe, it's probably not that big a deal. Just watch all of our videos. There are adjustments in our setup, okay? So this is our 4th of the Maiden sorties, okay? Now, I'm not 100% sure we're gonna make this, so I'm gonna go ahead and launch into the tall grass. I am out of safe this time. Man, there's just very, very light wind back there. Okay, here goes nothing. There you go. 30% throttle, seeing if it stops beeping. It does.
Yep.
Oh, that looks so delectable. You know, it's funny, guys. Some of these planes, you just want them to do so good right there. And then they don't do that good. Oh, Eagle Killing Zone. Should we go visit our ghost of yesteryear?
I don't think we should.
And I'm gonna say, this plane did good, but it definitely has I have some issues with it, and not the least of which are the fact that there's no rudder. Also, I must say, in this Navy or military livery, it disappears. Like, you can totally lose your orientation really easy.
Yeah.
You guys hear it beeping still?
Mm-hmm.
I just keep trying to squeeze more passes
Tempting
out.
it.
It's an EDF, folks. This is really hard on your EDFs, especially when you do that. Out of the throttle, giving it a moment to breathe. Man, I really enjoy flying this plane. It's just like weirdly, it's like just not good enough that I want to fly it because I have to master it. It's so weird. I don't get it, guys. I don't know if you have that same tendency, but when a plane doesn't quite do what you want it to, you're like, dang it, I gotta figure it out. And so on this plane, I gotta say, it's kind of like this weird, oh, I went over a hose doing that.
No, you hit the closer.
Did I?
Mostly, yeah.
So all I'm gonna say is, does it have room to improve? That's our timer, by the way. Does it have room to improve? Absolutely. Does it have enough power? Actually, yeah. Yeah, but it could have more power. Oh yeah. You know what I really wanna do?
What?
The camera crew is gonna kill me because I wanna fly one more flight now that we have. I just wanna see what we get on a 30C that's like kind of beat to heck. How about that? We'll pause and come back. Okay, another battery. Here we go, guys. This time I'm gonna try something different. I wanna hold it different and see if I can launch it like this. And if it blows up in a million pieces, you guys can all get a good laugh out of it. This is flight number 5 for us. Oh, that was great, actually. I felt way more in control. It was easier to accomplish. It was easier to see. Oh, man. This is a 30C Gen 2, 2200. And I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this, but the F-15 is just a kind of a different flying aircraft. And dang, it looks good. Oh, yes. Look at that. It just wants to recover. Did you see that? It just flops on its belly like a glider. I'm literally like giving it no input right now. So one of my gripes about this plane is the absence of flaps, inboard flaps, but I actually have a flap circuit ready to go. I just didn't install them. But I gotta say, is this plane worth putting flaps in? I don't know. Honestly, it's just super fun the way it is. And I'm just afraid what's gonna happen is if you were to screw with it too much, you're gonna make it too heavy and then it's not gonna be very fun to fly. Oh yes. So folks, if you've never flown this FMS 64 millimeter F-15, you might want to pick one up for yourself. It's just absolutely gorgeous in the air. It shows well. You definitely have to pull the landing gear off to see it at its best light, but you want the rudder. And guess what the rudder is? The rudder is the steerable nose gear. Okay, into the throttle. Okay, out of throttle. Just using up our energy to spin, which is super fun. Also, I gotta say, I wouldn't do flaperons on this plane. It doesn't need flaperons. Does it need reverse thrust? Probably not, to be honest, but it's still really fun. And if it's your first time doing thrust reverse, just remember the pilot fatigue does work on most planes. I don't know why it didn't on this, but I had it where it would go full throttle in forward thrust. And I'm like, oh, that's not helpful or productive. Almost hit the eagle killing zone there. Trying to give you guys some really good, juicy low passes. And I gotta say, I haven't flown a plane just really enjoying it for fun like this for a while. Inside out, it's got power. So cool. That was so cool the way it flew out of that. Do you hear the cow mooing about it?
Yes.
It was in celebration of the beauty. 40%, 30% throttle here. Coming right at the camera crew and then janking it to the last second in a death-defying stunt. Actually, not really. It was just kind of like a very basic maneuver where things look a lot more dangerous than they really are. For those of you keyboard prudes.
I have my...
What is going on here? You trying to hit your own house again, Brian? Yep. So folks, we crashed our last FMS. Oops, sorry guys. I felt super bad about that because it's such a gorgeous plane. And you know what? The last time we flew an F-15, that's not true, that was a twin. The last time we flew an F-6, the last time we flew an F-15, it was the twin from Arrows, okay? Also made by FMS, ironically. But we hit that tree with the E-Flight version, and it was a glorious and super fun build / repair video, and you guys really enjoyed it, I think, in general. That's the blue and kind of like wintry sort of
camo
look. Yeah. So it's just a different, we got 1 minute remaining. It was a different looking plane, and I think the aficionados in the room, the aircraft aficionados, get annoyed when we do these weird liveries like that, and I'm one of them. I don't know if I consider myself an aficionado, but I like scale stuff. But I gotta say, that one didn't disappear like this one because it had such a differentiation between the top and the bottom. This one has like one tone of gray differentiation. So when you get up there into attitudes like this, you're like, oh crap, what direction am I? Well, let's see what happens. Look at that, guys. Look at that. Total recovery. I didn't even give it stick input. You know, and that's what the S3X, I know that's gonna help, but it's not gonna make the recovery for you. That's so cool. Even with low airspeed, you get that awesome, gorgeous roll. Camera crew, you coming? We'll do a little pole dancing for you here. Whoa, buddy! Woo! Did you hear that echo? That echo came so long ago. There is no voltage alarm on this one. I'm squeezing every bit of life out of this plane for you guys. I'm gonna see how fast I can destroy it in the first video. You guys see the nose dip? That's battery dying, I think.
Sounds like it.
Look at that, how nice that goes, guys. Throttle cuts on. Okay, that was approximately 6 minute flight time. Okay, thoughts on this F-15? Walk with me while I talk. Amazing, super fun flying performance. I even at certain points in this video, I question my own judgment because I'm like, does this thing fly good or does it fly bad? And honestly, you guys are probably thinking, geez, you're a wishy-washy politician, Brian. No, I promise I'm not trying to be. It's just that this plane, I can't make up my mind about it. because it's so much fun to fly, and yet it flies so weird. It's not weird. It's not weird like the Rafale. It's weird like the F-15s. The F-15s have always done this weird floaty behavior on final, and it's just because of the way that the plane is shaped. Also, super annoyed that the thrust reverse worked weird with my pilot fatigue. Now, admittedly, FMS doesn't come out and say, you must put thrust reverse on. No, they don't tell us that. They probably would say, no, don't do thrust reverse, you crash plane. They don't do that either.
I'm pretty sure you're only supposed to use it at like 50% or something too.
Oh, yeah, they might have said that. Well, anyway, so what I'm going to say is this. As long as it's controllable, I think you're going to be fine. I think there is a period of absence you need to have in your thrust. So like you have to be at 0 for a second. I can't figure out why it works sometimes and it didn't other times. And for that reason, I'm going to tell you to don't use that mix. I'm going to warn you, and hopefully you guys watch my video and you'll say, oh, wow, he actually had a problem. Instead of saying, I can't believe you would suggest that and then not tell us a thing about it, Brian.
Who told you now?
We warned you. We warned you, and the warning was clear. Also, that was also a result of the same problem. Okay, this was a result of the same problem, but really that was the extent of the damage. It was just like a really bad bounce because I had to commit, and then once I committed, boom. Anyway, we're not gonna reverse engineer it because you were here with Brian and Megan, the camera crew. Okay, do I like this plane? Yes. Do I wanna fly it more? Yes. Are we gonna film anymore? No, because the camera crew is probably gonna say no if I ask her to go anymore. But what I can definitely tell you is this. This is like, I can't get up because a cat's in my lap. It's gonna be like that. This plane, it just, you wanna keep flying it. And it's weird, I don't generally have that problem because we fly so many planes around here. It's like, I mean, that was awesome, but you know, I've had an awesome experience 1,000 other times. Well, I can tell you this one's a different, it's fun experience. It's like, you're on the edge of your seat because you assume you're probably gonna run into a building at any time or maybe a tree because that's what Brian seems to do lately for videos. That's why we planted 4 more of them.
You're welcome.
As if we didn't have enough already. So all I'm gonna say is this. If you decide to buy this, don't buy it as a beginner thinking it's gonna be easy to fly. Safe makes it easier to fly. It does not make it really easy, but it is one of the easiest taking off and landing. That being said, you need to be to speed. You cannot jank this in the air because the wheels are way back here if you're doing wheels up, wheels down. Now, hand launches are not bad. It's pretty easy. And to be honest, you could just glide this like a glider and it would go a long ways, okay? Because it's not very heavy. It's got low wing loading. It's, you know, it's a single EDF. Here, show my tailpipe. Here, do you want to see from the front? See?
Kind of looks the same.
So anyway, all I'm gonna say is, if you don't like the F-15, this plane is not for you. If you breathe oxygen, this plane is for you.
Okay, but for what it is.
For what it is, it's
not a
great.
J11. It's not
No, it's not gonna set you
know.
back $1,000.
Right.
You're not gonna like have a heart attack when you have a crash.
Right.
The foam is reasonably strong. It's not a hard build, but you do have to glue a lot. You have to glue here, 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 and
Just
here.
order your China glue when you
Get
order
your China.
plane.
China. I'm telling you, get the China glue. I know glue.
Only a 4S battery, not a 6.
This is a 4S, so it's cheaper to fly. I would not fly this on 3S. I wouldn't even put a 3S in it.
The recommended is 4S 22 to 2600.
Where'd you find that?
On the interweb.
So it's nowhere in the manual?
It is not, no.
Okay.
Or on the box.
So guys, all I'm gonna say is this. If you get this plane, you're not gonna be disappointed because you pretty much have seen what you're gonna get. We don't generally fly so many flights. This is probably like the first and second thoughts flight. But I am gonna admit one thing about this. Without retracts and without flaps, it leaves me desiring more from an airplane. Now, thrust reverse is fun and it's helpful and it does build a level of confidence in my flying that you probably don't need if you have, say, an entire runway for real airplanes that you're flying off of. You know, like the kind that are so big that you can take off width-wise and have room to spare. If you have that, then you could take this off any direction. We have one direction and we have another direction, but that road just doesn't work well for stuff. It seems like every time we go to fly off the road, some drunk driver comes up and tries to run over the plane for fun. Because they were racing.
It's only happened a couple times.
Oh, it only happened that once. That's right. But what I can definitely also say is that this plane is a looker. Take the gear off and you will love it even more. Because it flies a little bit cleaner. Something happening over there? There's like some weird bug. I don't know if they can hear it. That's weird. It's not the AS3X. But that being said, the Air 630 is a good complement for this plane. It's reasonably easy to install. Everything goes right up here. I just don't think you need flap-ons. You're gonna waste your time doing it. It's gonna be hard because the Y cable is way back here, which we go into. That's about where you get to work with.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you try to split it, you can do it, but you're gonna have to get some scissors in there, make sure it's off.
It's gonna be tight.
I was totally gonna say Nate, but I didn't. I took it out of my mouth. By the way, if you guys didn't notice, we met Nate and Abby finally from the RC Sailors at RC Fest, and it was really nice.
It was great.
It was great. And so we got to hang out with them. It was fun. And Pilot Ryan was there. It was amazing. It was super fun. We had a great time. We got to know each other a little bit better, which is fun. It was not supposed to be that way. We sat in their tent. It was awesome because people still came up and said hi. So if you said hi, thanks for saying hi. That was super cool and fun. And we had a great time. It was a great event. We flew through the Ring of Fire. It was amazing. I beat Nate and that, but then Ryan beat me.
Ryan beat you.
Dang it.
And so did Jason.
And then Jason beat all of us.
Everyone.
So that was super fun. And I was thinking, you know, like in terms of Rings of Fire, this plane would be awesome for the Ring of Fire. And you want to know why? Just because it just flies that much unpredictability. And you know, like this is the whole amount. And it's that much unpredictable because, you know, it's not quite there, you know. So it's going to challenge you as a pilot. So if you're an experienced pilot, you're going to kick out of it. If you're an inexperienced pilot, you're going to be like, what the heck is going on with that plane? I feel like I'm a terrible pilot all of a sudden. So maybe it'll advance you a little bit. Or you'll crash it into the tree. I'm thinking one of those two things will happen. But absent rudder, absent flaps, inboard flaps, which would be customary on an F-15, and absent some LEDs, I feel like this plane lacks a lot. But where it lacks for, it also lacks for in price. And so if you're looking for something that's relatively inexpensive, it might be for you. However, we've seen some other 50mm offerings that are pretty fun that'll fly on 3S, but they're just not the same. They don't have the scale lines of this beauty. Look at the scale lines on this thing. It looks the part, okay? If you're gonna make a plane and it doesn't quite look like an F-15, just don't bother making it. I mean, super, super small details you can get away with. But the thing is, you know, ratios of the main wing to the tail feathers, things like that, we see that in RC all the time. But it can't be enough to be noticed. And they pulled off the scale lines really beautifully on this. So anyway, I think you could call this a mixed review. It's not like 2 thumbs up. It's more like, yeah, maybe you want this one. But here's what I'm gonna tell you, is that FMS generally makes a really good product. I don't necessarily blame FMS for any of the problems we had on this plane. It was pretty much, you know, self-inflicted, but the thrust reversing was weird. And we don't exactly know why that didn't work properly. Because we did the same thing. No, we didn't do we didn't do pilot fatigue on the T-28. That was a prop plane because we only do pilot fatigue, which is where we go full thrust reverse.
This is the first time we've done it
EDF
on a Predator ESC.
So we're gonna have to know that with the Predator ESCs, we can't rely on that thrust reverse.
Maybe not.
No, I mean, you can rely on thrust reverse, but just not
pilot fatigue.
Pilot fatigue, where we force it into 100% throttle condition, because then it causes weird behaviors.
Well,
so we live and learn. That's
behaviors.
why you come to Brian Phillips RC, and we hope you guys will come back. By the way, we're turning on memberships. It's just a secret between you and me. YouTube, they extorted us to do it. So we took the money. So if nobody signs up, don't worry, we won't feel bad, guys. We're just here to serve you anyway. We already have a million other ways for you to support us, and the best of which is to buy these planes when they're awesome. Maybe not this one if you don't like it, or if you do like it, or you're like, you know what, I don't even believe what he's saying. That guy's full of crap. And then you're gonna get it and you'll be like, wow, he actually did say pretty much the exact feelings I had about this weird plane. And then you'll be like, I'm gonna go back just like other cool people that we met at. I don't want to drop names because that was pretty cool.
Okay, because I don't know what you're talking about. That's good.
The pilot that flies ultra fast planes.
Yeah.
So anyway, all I'm gonna say, if you're watching this, thanks for watching. All I'm gonna say is this, guys. This F-15 is fun, but it is kind of a mixed bag, okay? Good with the bad, it's cheap. Can you argue with cheap?
I can tell you like it though. In a
I
weird,
do.
in
I
a
wanna
weird.
fly it. I want to hurry up and get done so we can
Well,
fly
then
it.
stop talking.
I'm bad
Tell
at
the
that
people
part
goodbye.
too. So anyway, I know you guys are asking the burning questions in your soul, and that is, well, tell us more about the members. The memberships are basically just another way for you to support us if you decide you don't want to buy a plane. Say you're overseas and you have to go to the local hobby shop because it costs like an extra 3 times the cost of this particular airplane because you're in like Saudi Arabia or something like that. Believe me, we're glad you're here watching our videos, and you do help support us just by doing that. Smash the like button, that'll help even more. Click the bell for notifications when you're subscribing, and that will help even more without spending a penny. And then YouTube pays us. Now, if you want to make somebody else pay you again, get this plane from the manufacturers, and then they will send us a cut, which is super fancy because you don't pay any extra, but we get that small commission for making videos like this where we badmouth all the things they screwed up on. Thank you for letting us do that, FMS. We love working with you and the competitive people we talked about. So anyway, all I'm going to say is this. There's other ways to support us too, and we've had them on for a while. Patreon. If you're a Patreon, thanks for being a Patreon. We have different levels. It's going to work just like the members. The difference is on Patreon, we list nothing for benefits. Because if we did, then we would have to add a VAT for those of you overseas. If you don't know what a VAT is, if you're in the United States, it's a value-added tax. And that's what they wish they could do here too. I'm sure they would charge us for breathing if they could.
But we're adding no value to you.
We are adding zero value. If you're overseas and you're paying us, it's just strictly friend-to-friend donations. So, oh, and by the way, donations on PayPal also cost money. So if you want to support us, friends and family, not donations, because that will charge us fees too. So anyway, the end of the day, there's a million ways to support us. And so members is just like, they were like, hey, if you turn it on by the end of July, we'll give you like a few $100. And we're like, yeah, sign me up. And I know what they're doing because they want to take your money too. And we get it, guys. We're not about that here on Brian Phillips RC. We just want you to be aware that they exist. And these planes also exist. And look at this plane. Instead of supporting us, you could just buy this amazing plane or another one like it. Or you could buy this amazing transmitter or one like it. Or the battery or one like it.
Or the receiver.
Or the receiver, or one like it. And all I'm going to say is, all these different choices, I want you guys to pick what's right for you.
Yeah.
Not what's right for Brian Phillips or Megan Phillips or one of our 4 hungry children that are forced into the dungeon with only one single toilet surrounded by airplanes.
27 shelves of snacks.
And 7 game systems and 14 computers. And what's the newest thing we got them that was too loud for when we're filming?
Oh, they have a carpet ball table.
They have a carpet ball table.
People don't know what carpet ball tables are.
If you don't know what carpet ball is, look it up. It's super fun. So we had to spend last night soundproofing the carpet
the
table.
carpet ball table.
So anyway, our poor children that are down in the basement having a blast, toiling away. You don't need to support them. Just buy these planes instead. It's actually much better that way because then you're still supporting them and you're supporting your addiction. Hobby. Sorry. So guys, that's what you get. Brian Phillips RC is here to support you. And while we support you, we're going to ask you to support us however it works for you. And really, we love these planes and we love bringing them to you. And we love having the opportunity to share our thoughts about these beautiful, delectable delights. And yes, don't mind my giant gouge. That was self-inflicted, sort of, but not really. So you've already seen it. You kind of know how it went down. And now you can avoid it on yours. Also, I'm going to say, this didn't get damaged much while we were doing belly landing.
I was really, lands
this
nice.
was probably also from that rough landing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this thing was separated when we got it. I could glue that back down. But other than that, and again, you can drag the thrust tubes on the ground when you're rolling, okay? I did not bend the landing gear forward, and admittedly, these did not break like they did on the E-Flight version.
Sure.
So I gotta say, definitely we have some pros, we have some cons. But at the end of the day, I want to keep flying this because I think it's fun and I think you will like it too. Is this the Carbon ZT28? Absolutely not. No. Is this the Arrows Twin 64? Absolutely not. Is that a Twin 64 or 70?
It's a twin.
All I know is when we did it, it was snowy and we landed it in the yard twice. So we never actually got a wheels down landing.
Yeah. Also,
no retracts. Okay. So it's just a lot of things to consider. But you're not flying on 6S. You're not going to be invested, $500-600 in batteries to get the thing in the air. And by the way, that twin is a battery chewer. And I tell you that right in that video too. Watch it. If you don't believe me now, go watch it. Amazing plane. And if you like eagles and stuff, it's perfect because there's like big, huge eagles and Oregon
cool
stickers all
plane.
over. Well, but there's a lot of people that kind of hate that livery.
Oh, they think-
I think it's cool
I think it's
myself.
cool.
But I just want to point out something, guys. When we do these videos, we're showing you as much as we can squeeze in to a super, super short 4-hour video.
Yes.
So did I miss
Say
anything?
goodbye to the people.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. There is literally so much more coming. We have tons of stuff stacked up, and we hope you'll enjoy them with us. We'll be avoiding these new trees in the near future.
The cows.
And the cow evidently is pissed off about something. That could be a bull.
Or maybe they're excited about something.
Milked your cow. We only have a bull. All right, guys, that's all you get. Thanks for watching. All right, guys, here goes nothing. Oh, shibbity balls.